Hello and welcome to TechCert Academy. Today we'll be covering Domain 4 Billing, Pricing, and Support for the AWS Cloud Practitioner CLF-C02 exam. I've created a complete playlist where I walk through hundreds of exam-style questions, organized domain by domain. You can access the playlist using the info button above. I've also launched a new website, techcertguide.com, where I publish clear, exam-focused blogs and break down the most important concepts for certifications like AWS, CompTIA, PMP, and more. The link is available in the description. And don't forget to subscribe. Your support truly motivates me to keep creating in-depth, high-quality content like this. Now that you know where to find all the resources, let's dive into today's questions. A company needs a predictable, steady-state workload running continuously on EC2. Which compute purchasing option will likely minimize their costs? Options: A. On-demand instances, B. Reserved instances, C. Spot instances, D. Dedicated hosts. Correct answer: B. Reserved instances. Explanation: reserved instances, RIs, provide a significant discount compared to on-demand pricing in exchange for a 1 or 3 year commitment. They are ideal for workloads with predictable continuous usage because the discount applies regardless of actual instance use. Unlike spot instances, which can be interrupted, RIs guarantee capacity and pricing stability. Reserved instances also offer flexibility options, including convertible RIs, allowing changes to instance families, OS types, or regions without losing the discount. Dedicated hosts provide physical isolation but do not inherently optimize cost for predictable workloads unless physical licensing is required. On-demand instances, while flexible, do not provide long-term cost savings for continuous usage. For predictable workloads, RIs reduce total cost of ownership while ensuring consistent capacity, making them the optimal choice for cost efficiency. Which AWS compute option should you select to minimize costs for fault-tolerant, flexible workloads that can tolerate interruptions? Options: A. Reserved instances, B. Spot instances, C. On-demand instances, D. Dedicated instances. Correct answer: B. Spot instances. Explanation: spot instances allow you to use spare AWS capacity at steep discounts, sometimes up to 90% off on-demand pricing. They are ideal for workloads that are flexible and can tolerate interruptions, such as batch processing, big data analysis, or stateless applications. AWS can reclaim spot instances when capacity is needed, which makes them unsuitable for critical or persistent workloads. On-demand instances provide consistent availability but cost more. Reserved instances optimize cost for predictable workloads but do not accommodate dynamic scaling. Dedicated instances provide isolated hardware but do not offer significant pricing benefits for interruptible workloads. Spot instances combine cost efficiency with the ability to scale massively for temporary tasks, making them the best choice for non-critical, interruptible applications. A company in an AWS organization purchases reserved instances, RIs. Which statement about RI sharing is correct? Options: A. RIs cannot be shared across accounts in an organization. B. RIs automatically apply to any instance in any account within the organization if the instance type matches. C. RIs apply only to the payer account and cannot be used by linked accounts. D. RIs require manual association to each account to take effect. Correct answer: B. RIs automatically apply to any instance in any account within the organization if the instance type matches. Explanation: within an AWS organization, RIs can be shared across linked accounts under consolidated billing. This means that the reserved instance discount automatically applies to any matching instance type within the organization, regardless of which account launches the instance. The discount is applied before calculating the invoice, optimizing cost utilization across multiple accounts. This behavior reduces the risk of underutilization in individual accounts. Manual association is not required for standard shared RIs, though some types, like regional convertible RIs, may offer additional flexibility for modifications. RI sharing is a critical feature for organizations with multiple accounts, ensuring that purchase commitments maximize cost benefits while simplifying management across teams. Which storage class should you use if you need low-cost object storage but can tolerate retrieval delays of several hours? Options: A. S3 Standard B, S3 Standard IA C, S3 One Zone IA. D. S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Correct answer: D. S3 Glacier Deep Archive explanation. S3 Glacier Deep Archive is designed for long-term archival with extremely low storage costs. It is suitable for data that is rarely accessed, and retrieval can take 12 to 48 hours, making it the lowest cost tier for archiving. S3 Standard is intended for frequently accessed data and comes with higher costs. S3 Standard IA and OneZone IA are lower cost tiers for infrequently accessed data, but offer faster retrieval times and are more expensive than Glacier Deep Archive. Choosing Glacier Deep Archive allows organizations to reduce storage costs for cold data while maintaining AWS durability. The trade-off is access latency, which is acceptable for archival purposes. Understanding retrieval requirements is key to cost optimization across storage tiers. Your company transfers 10 PB of data from one AWS region to another. Which of the following is true regarding data transfer costs? Options. A. Data transfer within the same region is free. B. Data transfer between regions incurs costs. C. Data transfer to the internet is free. D. Data transfer from AWS to on-premises has no cost. Correct answer, B. Data transfer between regions incurs costs. Explanation. AWS charges for inter-region data transfers because they require routing through the global AWS backbone, which consumes network resources. This is different from intra-region transfers, which are typically free or significantly cheaper. Data transferred to the internet incurs separate outbound costs based on the region and volume. Incoming data transfer from the internet to AWS ingress is generally free, but transfers out to on-premises or the internet are billed. Understanding these costs is critical for designing cost-effective architectures, particularly for multi-region deployments, data replication, or disaster recovery scenarios. Misestimating data transfer costs is a common source of unexpected AWS bills. Which AWS savings plan type provides the most flexibility in instance family, size, OS, and region? Options. A. Compute savings plan. B. EC2 instance savings plan. C. Reserved instance. D. Spot instance. Correct answer, A. Compute savings plan explanation. Compute savings plans apply to a broad range of compute services, including EC2, Fargate, and Lambda, and offer maximum flexibility across instance families, operating systems, and regions. They are ideal for dynamic environments where workloads may shift over time. EC2 instance savings plans are limited to a specific instance family within a region, providing a slightly higher discount but less flexibility. Reserved instances can be standard or convertible, but standard RIs have low flexibility, and convertible RIs are more restrictive than compute savings plans. Spot instances provide cost savings but do not offer the same guaranteed long-term discount. Compute savings plans optimize costs while accommodating evolving workloads without committing to fixed instances. Which compute purchasing option allows you to reserve physical server capacity for regulatory or licensing requirements? Options. A. Dedicated hosts. B. On-demand instances. C. Reserved instances. D. Spot instances. Correct answer. A. Dedicated hosts. Explanation. Dedicated hosts allocate an entire physical server to a single customer, which is essential for compliance, licensing, and regulatory requirements that mandate hardware isolation. Unlike reserved instances or on-demand instances, which share physical servers among tenants, dedicated hosts ensure full control over server placement, hardware IDs, and licensing. They are ideal for applications requiring server-bound licenses for software like Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle. Spot instances and standard RIs do not provide physical isolation and cannot meet such compliance needs. Dedicated hosts come at a higher cost but are necessary when physical isolation or licensing restrictions dictate server usage. Understanding this distinction is critical when balancing compliance and cost optimization. You want to reduce costs for a database that requires 24/7 availability but experiences seasonal peaks. Which combination of options is most appropriate? Options. A. On-demand instances plus spot instances. B. Reserved instances, spot instances. C. On-demand instances only. D. Dedicated hosts only. Correct answer, B. Reserved instances plus spot instances explanation. For predictable, always-on workloads like a continuously running database, reserved instances provide consistent cost savings and guaranteed capacity. Seasonal peaks can be handled with spot instances, which provide additional capacity at a lower cost for non-critical or burst workloads. This hybrid approach balances predictable base workloads and dynamic scaling needs while optimizing cost. On-demand instances alone would incur higher costs for 24/7 operation. Dedicated hosts ensure physical isolation, but are expensive and unnecessary for seasonal scaling. Combining RIs and spot instances leverages long-term discounts for steady workloads while maintaining flexibility to handle bursts, a key principle in cost optimization strategies for variable workloads. Which AWS storage class automatically moves objects between tiers based on access patterns to optimize cost? Options: A. S3 Standard, B. S3 Intelligent Tiering, C. S3 Glacier, D. S3 Standard IA. Correct answer: B. S3 Intelligent Tiering. Explanation: S3 Intelligent Tiering automatically monitors access patterns and moves objects between frequent and infrequent access tiers without operational overhead. This reduces storage costs while maintaining performance for active objects. S3 Standard is always high performance and costly. S3 Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive are for archival storage with delayed retrieval and are unsuitable for data that must be immediately accessible. Standard IA requires manual tier selection. Intelligent tiering is ideal for unpredictable access patterns as it ensures cost efficiency without manual intervention. It also maintains AWS durability and instant access for frequently accessed data while saving on infrequently accessed objects, offering a blend of automation, flexibility, and cost management that is essential for dynamic storage workloads. Which reserved instance type allows you to change the instance family, OS, or tenancy during the term while retaining the discount? Options: A. Standard reserved instance, B. Convertible reserved instance, C. On-demand instance, D. Spot instance. Correct answer: B. Convertible reserved instance. Explanation: convertible reserved instances offer the flexibility to exchange an existing RI for another with different attributes, such as instance family, OS, or tenancy, provided the new RI is of equal or higher value. This flexibility allows businesses to adapt to changing workloads without losing the benefits of long-term cost savings. Standard RIs provide higher discounts but cannot be modified. On-demand instances are fully flexible but do not offer long-term discounts. Spot instances are discounted but interruptible and unpredictable. Convertible RIs balance cost optimization with adaptability and making them suitable for evolving workloads, such as migrating to newer instance families or changing operating system requirements during the commitment term. When transferring data between two availability zones in the same AWS region, which statement is accurate? Options: A. Data transfer is free. B. Data transfer is billed at the inter-region rate. C. Data transfer is billed at the intra-AZ rate, which is lower than inter-region. D. Data transfer costs depend on the instance type only. Correct answer: C. Data transfer is billed at the intra-AZ rate, which is lower than inter-region. Explanation: AWS distinguishes between inter-AZ and inter-region data transfer. Transfers between availability zones in the same region incur a charge, though it is lower than inter-region transfers. Transfers within the same AZ are typically free. Inter-region transfers are more expensive because they traverse the global AWS backbone. Understanding these cost distinctions is crucial when designing multi-AZ architectures, as frequent cross-AZ traffic can significantly impact the bill. Instance type does not affect transfer pricing. Properly architecting traffic patterns, such as aggregating cross-AZ communications, can reduce costs and optimize network performance, demonstrating the need to balance availability, redundancy, and billing considerations. Which storage tier is best suited for data that must be immediately accessible but rarely modified? Options: A. S3 Standard, B. S3 Standard IAC, S3 Glacier, D. S3 One Zone IA. Correct answer: B. S3 Standard IA. Explanation: S3 Standard Infrequent Access IA is optimized for data that is accessed infrequently but requires rapid retrieval. It offers lower storage costs than S3 Standard while maintaining immediate availability. S3 One Zone IA stores data in a single AZ, offering a lower cost option but with reduced resilience. S3 Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive are designed for archival storage with delayed retrieval and are unsuitable for data that must be immediately accessible. S3 Standard provides high durability and availability, but is more expensive. Selecting Standard IA balances cost and accessibility for rarely modified data, making it suitable for backups, logs, or long-term reference data that may occasionally be retrieved. What is the main factor that determines the discount level for reserved instances? Options: A. Instance uptime, B. Term length and payment option, C. Region alone, D. Availability zone selection. Correct answer, B. Term length and payment option. Explanation. Reserved instances discounts depend primarily on the term length, 1 year or 3 year, and the selected payment option, all upfront, partial upfront, or no upfront. Longer commitments and upfront payments yield higher discounts. Region and availability zone selection influence instance applicability and capacity reservation, but do not directly determine the discount level. Instance uptime does not affect pricing because the discount applies regardless of actual usage. Understanding these variables allows organizations to plan RIs strategically, balancing cost savings against financial flexibility. Payment method choice affects cash flow and discount percentage, while term selection ensures predictable pricing over the chosen commitment period. Which pricing model allows you to pay only for the compute capacity actually used with no upfront commitment? Options: A. On-demand instances, B. Reserved instances, C. Savings plans, D. Dedicated hosts. Correct answer: A. On-demand instances. Explanation. On-demand instances are billed per second or hour based on actual usage, with no long-term commitment or upfront payment. This model provides maximum flexibility and is suitable for unpredictable workloads or development testing environments. Reserved instances and savings plans offer significant cost savings but require commitments for 1 to 3 years. Dedicated hosts are billed hourly or as part of a reservation, often with additional costs. On-demand pricing ensures customers only pay for what they consume, which is ideal for workloads with variable usage patterns or uncertain demand. It also allows rapid scaling without the need to manage long-term contracts, providing agility at the expense of higher per-unit costs compared to committed options. A company wants to optimize cost for storage that will never be retrieved unless required for compliance audits. Which AWS tier is optimal? Options: A. S3 Standard IA, B. S3 Glacier, C. S3 Glacier Deep Archive, D. S3 Intelligent Tiering. Correct answer: C. S3 Glacier Deep Archive. Explanation. S3 Glacier Deep Archive provides the lowest cost storage option in AWS, designed specifically for data that is rarely or never accessed but must be retained for compliance, legal, or archival purposes. Retrieval times range from 12 to 48 hours, which is acceptable for audit-only data. S3 Standard IA is more expensive and intended for infrequently accessed data with immediate availability. S3 Glacier is cheaper than Standard IA, but more expensive than Deep Archive. Intelligent tiering optimizes cost based on access patterns, but incurs a monitoring fee and is unnecessary for data that will almost never be retrieved. Selecting Glacier Deep Archive maximizes cost savings for archival retention, balancing AWS durability with minimal operational costs. Which of the following is true regarding outgoing data transfer costs from AWS to the Internet? Options: A. It is always free. B. It is billed based on volume and destination. C. It is included in reserved instance pricing. D. It is cheaper than interregion transfers. Correct answer: B. It is billed based on volume and destination. Explanation: AWS charges for data transferred out of its network to the Internet based on the total volume and destination. This is distinct from incoming data, which is generally free. Reserved instances, savings plans, or spot instances do not cover outgoing data transfer costs. Interregion transfers are billed separately and can be more expensive than some internet transfers, depending on the destination. Monitoring and managing outbound traffic is critical for cost optimization, especially for applications with heavy content delivery or external API interactions. AWS provides tools like VPC, endpoints, CloudFront, and cost allocation tags to minimize and track these expenses effectively. Which compute option can provide the lowest cost for non-critical workloads that can tolerate AWS interruptions? Options: A. Reserved instances, B. Spot instances, C. On-demand instances, E. Dedicated hosts. Correct answer: B. Spot instances. Explanation: Spot instances are the most cost-effective compute option for non-critical, fault-tolerant workloads because AWS offers spare capacity at a fraction of on-demand prices. These instances can be interrupted when AWS reclaims capacity, making them unsuitable for mission-critical applications. Reserved instances optimize costs for predictable workloads, but do not support intermittent or interruptible workloads. On-demand instances provide flexibility without interruption, but at a higher cost. Dedicated hosts provide isolated hardware, but are significantly more expensive. Spot instances allow organizations to achieve massive cost savings for batch jobs, big data processing, or temporary workloads, making them an essential tool in a cost-conscious cloud strategy. Which reserved instance type provides the highest discount but the least flexibility? Options. A. Standard reserved instance. B. Convertible reserved instance. C. EC2 savings plan. D. On-demand instance. Correct answer. A. Standard reserved instance. Explanation. Standard RIs offer the largest discounts, up to 75% compared to on-demand pricing, but are rigid in terms of modification. They cannot be converted to another instance family, OS, or tenancy, unlike convertible RIs. EC2 savings plans provide flexible discounts, but are generally lower than standard RIs for specific instance commitments. On-demand instances offer flexibility, but no long-term cost benefits. Standard RIs are ideal for steady-state, predictable workloads where cost savings outweigh the need for flexibility. They ensure predictable pricing over the RI term, enabling efficient budget planning, but require careful planning to avoid underutilization or mismatch with evolving workload requirements. Which storage option allows you to reduce costs for infrequently accessed data while maintaining multiple availability zone redundancy? Options. A. S3 One Zone IA. B. S3 Standard IA. C. S3 Glacier Deep Archive. D. EBS Cold HDD. Correct answer. B. S3 Standard IA. Explanation. S3 Standard Infrequent Access. Standard IA provides lower cost storage for data that is rarely accessed, but requires high durability and availability across multiple availability zones. It maintains the same durability as S3 Standard while reducing storage costs. S3 One Zone IA is cheaper but stores data in a single AZ, which increases risk in case of an AZ outage. S3 Glacier Deep Archive is cheaper but designed for archival storage with slow retrieval times. EBS Cold HDD is block storage and not ideal for long-term object storage. Standard IA balances cost and durability for data that is infrequently accessed but still mission-critical, such as backups or historical records, making it suitable for multi-AZ redundancy strategies. Which AWS savings plan provides flexibility across EC2 instance families, Fargate, and Lambda, but requires a long-term commitment? Options. A. Compute savings plan. B. EC2 instance savings plan. C. Reserved instance. D. Spot instance. Correct answer. A. Compute savings plan. Explanation. Compute savings plans cover a broad range of AWS compute services, including EC2, Fargate, and Lambda, offering flexibility across instance families, regions, and OS types. They require a 1 or 3 year commitment, but allow dynamic allocation of workloads without locking you into specific instance types. EC2 instance savings plans are limited to a particular instance family and region. Reserved instances are tied to specific instances, regions, or AZs, and spot instances are short-term, interruptible instances with no long-term commitment. Compute savings plans combine predictability and cost reduction with operational flexibility, making them ideal for evolving workloads and multi-service compute environments.